Good evening. All right, we are going to call to order the Dumfries Town Council meeting of Tuesday, December 2nd to order. Good evening and welcome to the council meeting of December 2nd. As the Vice Mayor and Presiding Officer, my role under the town charter, the Town of Dumfries Rules and Procedures, and Robert's Rules of Order is to ensure the orderly processing of business and maintain decorum so that all participants, council staff, and the public can be heard respectfully and fairly. To these ends, please note the following requirements which apply equally to council members and the public. Decorum and civility. All comments must be directed through the chair and the presiding officer of the meeting. No comments should be directed at an individual member, staff member, or member of the public. Side conversations, whispering, or crosstalk are not permitted. All remarks must be audible to the room and part of the official record. Electronic devices should be silenced. Texting, emailing, or messaging related to public business during the meeting may be subjected to FOIA and should be avoided. Speaking in recognition, no one may speak while another person has the floor. Interruptions will be ruled out of order. Council members will be recognized by the chair before speaking. Council members may speak up to 2 times on any item with a combined total of no more than 10 minutes. Members of the public are allotted 3 minutes to speak during citizen comment or public hearing unless otherwise changed by a majority vote of council prior to the meeting. During citizens' comment, council members will not respond directly to speakers. Responses, clarification, or follow-up remarks may be offered later during the designated council comment time. Enforcement of order. Any member ruled out of order must yield the floor immediately unless the ruling is appealed to the council in accordance with Robert's rules. Clapping, yelling, or other outbursts are not permitted unless invited by the presiding officer. Disruptive behavior may result in removal from the meeting and, if necessary, exclusion from the remainder of the session. Speakers who exceed allotted time or violate decorum may have their microphone silenced. Separation of roles. Council direction to staff is given collectively through the town manager. Political commentary or attempts to draw staff into political matters are not appropriate. Staff are expected to remain neutral and professional. These rules are designed to protect the rights of all participants, ensure compliance with law, and keep our meetings efficient, respectful, and productive. Thank you for your cooperation. Madam Clerk, will you please do a roll call?
Councilmember Peterson.
Present.
Councilmember Pete.
Here.
Councilmember Fields.
Here.
Councilmember Young. Chair Pro Tem Miles.
Present.
Vice Mayor Nickerson.
Here.
Mayor Wood. Okay.
All right, so Councilman Fields, would you do a prayer for us to get us started this evening?
Let us pray. Lord, we thank you for this wonderful day. It was kicking off the month of December. We ask you to bless us through this council meeting, that all hands of March be clear and ready to handle the town's business. In these words, we ask you your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you for being so willing to be called on the spot once again. All right, moving along. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
Madam Vice Mayor.
Oh. Well, before we do that, would you lead us in the pledge?
Ooh. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Now, do we have a motion on the agenda?
Madam Vice Mayor, I'd like to make an amendment to the agenda.
All right, we have a motion to amend the agenda. Do we have a second?
Well, let me complete. I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda. I would like to add to the consent agenda a request to schedule a public hearing on the consideration of an ordinance to repeal ordinance number 25, ordinance that's 10, on the creation of the Economic Development Board. Let me repeat that. Repeal ordinance 25 or 10 on the creation of the Economic Development Board.
Okay, we have a motion to amend the agenda, adding to the consent agenda. Do we have a second?
Hold on a minute. I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda with the amended changes and consent agenda.
Madam Clerk, can you read that back for clarification, please?
I'm sorry.
Yes. Okay, Councilman Fields made a motion to make an amendment to the agenda, which would be to add to the consent agenda to request to schedule a public hearing on the consideration of an ordinance to repeal ordinance 25 ORD-10 on the creation of the Economic Development Authority.
That is correct.
Okay, so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been motioned, it's been second. Do we have any discussion?
Yes, thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. I'm sorry, you didn't recognize me. I will say, I do think that we have some issues that we definitely need to address and concern at the EDA, but I will not be supporting this motion because I think that's a bigger gun than we need right now. So I just want to get on the record that, while I do stand by that we need some things that we need to address, I don't believe that this is the avenue. So I will not be supporting this motion tonight.
Any other discussion? Madam Clerk, please call for the question.
Councilmember Peterson? Aye. Councilmember Pete?
Yes.
Councilmember Fields?
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem Miles?
Nay.
Vice Mayor Nicholson?
Yes.
That motion's passed.
All right. Next, we have awards and proclamations. Oh, the motion to adopt the agenda as amended. Madam Clerk, please call for the question.
Make the motion for us. I would like to make a motion to approve the agenda with the amended changes on the consent agenda.
I second that motion, Vice Mayor.
Okay. The motion's been moved and second. Now, Madam Clerk, please call for the question.
Councilmember Peterson? Aye. Councilmember Pete?
Yes.
Councilmember Fields?
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem Miles?
Nay.
Vice Mayor Nicholson?
Yes.
That motion's passed.
Okay. Now we'll move into awards and proclamations. And we don't have any. So next we move into the approval of the minutes. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes for November 18th?
So moved.
I'm sorry.
I second that motion.
Oh. It's been moved, it's been seconded. Any discussion? Not seeing any. Madam Clerk, please call for the question.
Councilmember Peterson? Aye. Councilmember Pete?
Yes.
Councilmember Fields?
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem Miles?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Nicholson?
Yes.
That motion's passed.
All right. We're breezing through this. This is not as easy as it looks. All right. Next, we have citizen comment time. Madam Clerk, do we have anybody signed up for citizen comments?
Yes, we have one person that signed up to speak. That is Tyrone Brown.
Good evening, Council. Tyrone Brown, 17598 Duke Street, Dumfries, Virginia. I just wanted to come and express my disappointment with the things that's going on with the EDA board. I know that there's communication that's been coming from the council. I'm assuming the council is sending that, directing that communication to come out. There were several things in the communication that was confusing, and I don't want to get into the context of that, but my question to the council, if the council was this particular communication directed by you all as a unit, as the council? That's just a question. And if so, some of the content was around the swearing in. And I understand legally those issues. However, being that we have other planning commission, we have other boards, my question is, did you have that same thought process when those other boards were beyond this 30 days? If you're aware of any of that. So that's just a question. And I do hope that once you all kind of get together and figure this out, that there will be an EDA board moving forward. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, is there anyone else signed up to speak?
I have one more person, but they wasn't able to attend, but they sent their comments in for the comment period. I can read that comment.
Please proceed.
Okay. This is from Lawrence Nickerson, and it states, honorable members of the town council, my name is, let me stop this. My name is Lawrence Nickerson, and I am currently serve as the appointee to the town's Economic Development Authority. I am also the chair of the Town of Dumfries Planning Commission, where I remain committed to serving with integrity and supporting responsible growth within our community. This evening, I am formally resigning from the EDA effective immediately. I am making the decision as a longtime community servant, a husband, a father raising 2 children in this town, and someone who cares deeply about Dumfries' future. My resignation is driven by serious government concerns that I feel obligated to place on the public record. Number 1, significant transparency issues and potential FOIA concerns. There have been discussions and decision-making activities occurring outside of properly noticed public meetings. As a public body, this is not a procedural oversight. It is a threat to public trust and exposes the town to unnecessary legal risks. Residents deserve full transparency. Number 2, misrepresentation of authority and official EDA documents. The publicly circulated agenda for the December 3rd meeting included items that implied powers the EDA does not legally possess, creating confusion and presenting a false narrative about the authority's scope of authority. This is particularly troubling given the EDA's early stage of development. Number 3, conduct at a recent town-sponsored business event that compromised the town's image. During a public event attended by business owners, residents, and invited partners, the authority's leadership engaged in disruptive and inappropriate behavior. This conduct was not reflective of the professionalism expected of a public body that represents the town to the potential economic partners. Number 4, a pattern of procedural breakdown and disregard for governance norms. There have been repeated issues related to improper handling of officer roles, attempts to act without proper votes, misunderstandings or overstatements of statutory authority, bypassing town processes and staff structures, and distributing documents that misrepresent legal powers. Taken together, these issues raise serious concerns about the EDA's readiness to operate as a responsible public entity. Number 5, the cumulative concern is risk to the town, its reputation, and its residents. This is not about personalities. It's about patterns of conduct and decision-making that, if uncorrected, could harm the town's credibility and expose it to legal and representational consequences. For these reasons, I cannot continue to lend my name or services to an authority that does not function within the standards of transparency, professionalism, and accountability that Dumfries residents expect and deserve. My commitment to this town remains unchanged. I will continue to serve as the chair of the Planning Commission and continue to support responsible development and community progress in every way I can. Thank you for the opportunity to serve. Respectfully submitted, Lawrence Nickerson.
Thank you. Are there any other comments to be read or signed up to speak?
That's it.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, moving into council comments.
Yes. Vice Mayor, I'm aware that this young man would like to speak. If you can go back to citizen comment, please.
Sure, Madam Clerk. Can you call up the gentleman for speaking?
When you go to the podium, just state your name.
So, young man, you have 3 minutes, like everyone else, to speak. Please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Will Diaz. I'm a sheet metal mechanic. I live at 201 Parkbrook Court, and I am pretty new here. I've always had a interest in my community and politics as a whole, and I just want to say I appreciate everybody having me here and giving me this opportunity. This is a big opportunity. I appreciate Councilman Pete for bringing me along and, really helping me explore this side of my interests. My first question is, I was reading the agenda. As someone that's fairly new here, could someone explain to me what exactly the EDA is? Is it the economic development panel that you guys were referring to, or?
So sorry, during the citizen comment time, we don't engage in back and forth commentary.
Okay.
So if
Okay.
at the end of the meeting, if you'd like to speak to one of us, we can engage
Okay.
at that point. So this is your time to speak and leave your comments on the floor.
Okay. Okay. Well, I just had questions, and I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. But once again, I appreciate you guys having me, Councilman Pete, again, and thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, so moving into council comments. Councilwoman Peterson.
I just want to thank everyone that came out for the turkey drive. It's my third one. The first one was 80 turkeys, the second was 90, and this one was 500. So I want to thank everyone that came out, and hopefully next year you can make it even bigger for me. Thank you.
Councilman Pete.
Thank you, dear Vice Mayor. I just want to say thank you to all that has attended the meeting this evening. Happy holidays to everyone that is as we enter our holiday season. We had a great time at our holiday parade. It was amazing. I keep telling y'all, don't miss out on these events that we're doing right here in the town. It's a place that you want to drive to and not through, right? We're really marking that brand. If you could, I always state this, download the Dumfries Citizens Connect app. Go to the top left 3-bar icon, sign in, and then you'll be able to explore and get notice of when we post from the town, and it come directly to your phone instead of us trying to find you with a flyer, right? Again, moving forward, kudos to the Christmas tree lighting. We had an amazing turnout with our countdown with the citizens. That was something new that we did this year, and they were a lot louder, and it was amazing. So we bringing in the holiday season pretty great, y'all. We had again, Councilman Peterson spoke on the 500 turkey giveaway that the town put out this year, and that was amazing. Special thank you to our town manager and staff, and our council members that participated in that as well, and our interns as well. They all did a good job. Our citizens had a great job moving on that. I do want to say, if you are through or coming to the town, or at least close within the vicinity here, come to Garrison Park. We have a little short display out there where you can gather some pictures, some holiday pictures. We done lit up the town. We're moving on some things and getting the holiday going, guys. It is getting cold, and our winter months are approaching us. Well, they actually here already, because I done pulled out the big jackets, right? But do check on your neighbors. They may not have any heat, or maybe struggling on the food, as we bouncing right back into from a shutdown per se that it was, and just check on your neighbors. Let's not forget about our neighbors, which help us keep our community safe and clean. Again, everyone, town residents and surrounding communities, thank you all again, and happy. One more thing, I do want to give a we had one of our supervisors' parents leave us this past week. The supervisor, our own supervisor, Miss Andrea Bailey, our Potomac District Supervisor. She's like a mama to me on the politician world, y'all, but big supporter for our town here. If you see her, just give her a hug and say, just a reminder that we're here for you. We got you. Our town loves you. We're good for you. Good to us. We're good to you. And we're looking forward to continue to working with you, support your family as we go through the transition of this moment. And again, y'all, not the sorrow, but uplift the family and give them some pleasing and warm things to be moving forward with. With that, Vice Mayor, on my remarks, I yield.
All right, Councilman Fields.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you all for coming out. We have a lot of good things coming up in a few weeks. Christmas in Dumfries is coming up. Christmas in Dumfries Shop with a Cop, which is, Chief, is going to be the 20th, 8 o'clock. If you could please briefly, if I might have permission, Town Manager, if you could come up and tell people how they can register for it, please, real quick. And while he's walking up, this is my baby, Christmas in Dumfries. We've been keeping it going for many, many, many years since I was on the force and before. One of my long-term co-workers, former Captain Robinson, is in the audience today. Thank you for coming out this evening. We also was big on keeping it going, Christmas in Dumfries. Chief, I yield the floor to you for a minute.
Yes, sir. So applications are being accepted at the police department. You can also email them into the TDBT community email address. That we're taking those in through the email. We're getting lots. I think the deadline is December 18th for the applications, and we'll be going through the process. Obviously, town kids come first, and that's who we're trying to get. But we're getting a lot of applications, and glad to assist in the event. And looking for a big crowd to turn out and have fun with the kids Christmas.
All right.
You have any questions about the event? Anything else?
No, sir. And the location at the Walmart?
The Dumfries Walmart.
Dumfries Walmart.
Off of is it Wayside?
Yeah, 0800.
Yes, 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
Thank you.
That's the same thing as 0800. All right, guys. Hey, that's my fun time. So listen, everybody be safe and stay engaged. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Chair Pro Tem.
Thank you. So first and foremost, I want to wish everyone a happy holiday season, Merry Christmas, and a prosperous New Year. I echo Councilman Pete's sentiments on the passing of Supervisor Bailey's parents. I just keep her uplifted and keep her in prayer. I know this is a happy time of the year, and people will be gathering with family. We also want to make sure we take care of each other, not even just financially in terms of gift giving. This year can be a hard time of year for many people. Some people are dealing with losses, like our supervisor, or we'll have people that are not necessarily in good spirits, and it can be heavy on them. So we are a family, so we want to make sure we check on our family members and make sure that we're all upheld during this time. And with that, I'll yield.
Thank you. I want to extend my deepest and most sincere condolences to Supervisor Bailey and her family during this difficult time. As Chair Pro Tem said, while a lot of us are celebrating the holidays as a cheerful time, this is a time of heavy sorrow for Supervisor Bailey and her family. So our most sincere condolences are with her and her family during this time. I also want to briefly address the recent discussions surrounding the EDA. There's been a lot of confusion and misinformation circulating, and I want to reassure our residents that this council is committed to keeping our processes clear, orderly, and fully aligned with state law and our charter. And as we move forward, our focus will remain on transparency, professionalism, and protecting the integrity of our town operations. We will continue taking measured, responsible steps, and we won't be rushed or distracted by anything outside of that. And lastly, I want to wish everyone a safe and peaceful and joyful holiday season. Thank you. And now we will move into reports and presentations. And first, we have a presentation from the Rose Gaming Resort to the Town Council. And I'd like Ms. Bobby to please approach the podium. Good evening.
Happy holidays to all of you as well.
Thank you. You too.
Here we go. I apologize in advance. I started losing my voice over Thanksgiving. I'm fine. I don't sound fine, but I'm fine. So I was asked to come and give a little briefing on the first year of the Rose. As you know, we celebrated our 1-year anniversary on November 7th. This is just, the same overview I think you've seen before, just reminding everybody what we have here in Dumfries, 175,000 square feet of gaming space. Our hotel, which has 102 rooms, our 8 food and beverage venues, including Market Street, which is open to those under 21, as well as 1609 and the Playbook Sports Bar, which are on the gaming floor, so those are open to those 21 and over. All right, so this is our year-end statistics. These are sourced from the Virginia Racing Commission, our regulator's website. So from October 22nd, which was our Friends and Family Day, through October 31st, the handle, which is the amount that's been wagered, is almost $1.5 billion, billion with a B. The amount returned to players, so that's what our players have won over that period of time, is just about 1.4 billion with a B. Our total amount, we have a lot of taxes that we pay that go to a lot of different groups and entities. In total, during that time frame, our statutory taxes and withholdings are over $20 million. The locality tax, which is what's important to you because that's what comes here to Dumfries, has been almost $5.8 million in that time frame. Also want to highlight the locality tax that currently goes to the track in New Kent, and that's been about $6.5 million. Legislation changed this past legislative session, so next July in 2026, that piece that's been going to New Kent will now be added to what comes to Dumfries. So Dumfries' tax that they're receiving from the Rose will double starting in July next year. So just wanted to highlight that and let you see what that's been for the last year. And then, of course, a major purpose, I guess, to the Rose and all the Rosie's facilities are also to support the Virginia horse racing industry. So with that, over the last year, that's been a little over $1.6 million that's gone there. So those are just some of the significant statistics over the last year. Also want to talk about, all the prizes. So well over $2 million in cash and prizes and free play have been won by our guests over the course of the last year. We've had several $1 million giveaways, lucky draw, battle wheels. We've done $700 every 7 minutes. We've done $1,000 every 20 minutes. Mr. and Ms. Popularity, our payout plunge, Greedy Piggy. Right now we're still going through Rising Riches on Friday nights. Rapper's Delight was back in October on Friday nights, and many, many more. These are just some of the highlights of some of our larger promotions that we've done. In addition to these, we've also given away 9 cars in the last year. So our very first ones, you may remember, for the whole first quarter at the end of every month, we gave away a Genesis GV70. So that was fun. We had 1 out of those 3 actually took the car. The rest took cash in lieu of the car. And then in June, at the end of June, we gave a very pretty little Mercedes away. I believe that winner also took the cash as opposed to the car. Then at the end of September and every single Saturday in October, we gave away a Cadillac. And we did have, of those 5 Cadillacs, 1 person took the car and all the others took the cash. So we actually gave away 2 cars, but we gave away a whole lot of cash in lieu of cars. So it's been doing very well. October was our record month. I'm waiting for November's numbers to be finalized, but I expect that to exceed October and have a new record, which is significant not only because it's a new record, but also because there's only 30 days in the month of November and there's 31 in the days in October. So it is a big deal when a shorter month beats a longer month. And then just to highlight, of course, everybody, I highlighted promotions and jackpots because everybody, that's the number one thing. I've been in this industry for going on 29 years. And if you ask customers what the most important things are, what they use when they decide where they're going to go play, winning is always number one. They want to go where they think they're going to win. The other two things, different orders depending on the survey, the place is clean, and I feel safe. And I can tell you we have tons and tons of comments online, reviews that we've gotten that talk about how clean our facility is and how safe people feel when they come. But the number one thing is winning, and we definitely have that for them as well. So these are the top 10 jackpots that we've paid out over the last year, with number 10 being $112,000. All the way up to our top jackpot, which was a few months ago, of $255,000. So we have definitely been paying out a lot of money. Nearly 27,000 jackpots were paid in the last year for a total of $54.7 million, which was part of the $1.4 billion that has been returned to our players. But that is just kind of a brief highlight with the numbers and our promotions and our winnings of what's been going on at the Rose for the last year and what we will be continuing into 2026. But I'm happy to answer any questions if the council has any.
Councilman Pete?
Oh, thank you, Vice Mayor. Thank you for the update, Ms. Bobby Staples, Executive General Manager of our great Rose Resort right here in the town of Dumfries. If you haven't been, go, because it's a nice place to, even during the course of the lunchtime hours. You guys just actually opened up breakfast now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Breakfast sandwiches and French toast sandwich. Oh, yeah, let me try that too. So move forward with the, you guys spoke of the numbers of rooms there. If I'm not mistaken, that was 125, correct?
No, 102 rooms. We have 102 rooms.
102. And I know, okay, so rewinding, I know that we as previously spoke of, maybe we want to save sometime last year, maybe, of the additional rooms that you guys wanted to add on there. Do we have any updates on that? Because I know we spoke earlier about some additionals with the park in phase 2, but I didn't get to mention that as well. So do we have any update on the additionals?
We don't. An additional tower would be part of phase 2, and phase 2 kind of starts once we can open the park, and that will trigger the traffic study. So once we do the traffic study, then, we've been, looking at our numbers, we've been looking at things, but we have not landed on a final number of how many rooms that second hotel tower should have.
Okay, and my last one. The rooms that you guys have now, the 102, are they selling out or no?
They are on weekends, yes. Weekends, we are in the 90 percentiles, sometimes 100% in occupancy. Midweek is still growing, so we're working on building that. But our overall occupancy, depending on the month of the year, is somewhere between 65 and 70%.
Oh, right. So it sounds like we're moving in a great direction, and then we'll be doubling and bringing on in July of this coming year. Sounds good to me, y'all. Again, if you haven't been already, go and take a trip to that Rose Resort right here in the town of Dumfries. Amazing place, y'all. Again, thank you, Ms. Bobby, for your time. Thank you, Vice Mayor. Are you?
Thank you, Councilman.
I want to follow on one of the questions that Councilman Pete asked. I know. Okay, thank you. So Councilman Pete asked about the rooms, and you said that phase 2 was tied to the park. Can you be a little bit more specific? What about the park?
Once the park opens, that triggers the traffic study that would need to be done before any further expansion.
And what about the park? What is it that opens the park?
DEQ has to approve the park being opened.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think I saw Councilman Fields first, and then we'll move to Pro Tem Miles. Councilman Fields?
Oh, thank you, Bobby. Thanks for coming. Good to see you as always. Councilman Pete asked some of the same questions I was going to ask about the phase 2 and how far we're along with phase 2. So thank you for answering that question, and of course with the follow-up from Vice Mayor. One thing I noticed that when bus traffic comes to the Rose, there isn't parking for them on site, or they just choose to go off site. And I see them park up here in the shopping center or either at the commuter lot. Could you answer about that, please?
The previous company that Churchill Downs acquired the Rose from, and the parking garage and all of the plans were already submitted and planned out. We've made very minor changes after that. But they did not, for whatever reason, plan bus parking in the parking garage. So yes, if we have a large bus, it does have to park off site. It drops its passengers at the hotel entrance, and then it parks off site and then comes back to pick them up later.
Okay. And I think that's about it. Everyone else has asked the same thing. I'm not going to beat a dead horse. Thank you for
Okay.
coming.
Thank you, Councilman.
Chair Pro Tem.
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Vice Mayor. I had a question about the revenue coming back, and I see, the law is going to change in July. The 6.5, just for clarification, is that what's coming to Dumfries, or is that something that we'll be splitting statewide? Is the 6.5 coming here?
That was what has, over the past year, based on our volumes, been paid to New Kent as part of the way the regulation's structured now. That piece will no longer be going to New Kent, so that piece will come to Dumfries. But that'll be based on what our volumes are at that time. So of course, next year, that'll only be half of whatever that amount is. But starting in 2027, that full amount, basically the town should double their tax revenue from the Rose.
Okay, that's interesting. Thank you for clearing that up, because I know that right now, everywhere where there's a presence, they get a piece. New Kent is getting a piece of that revenue. So I just wanted to make sure that was projected. So that's amazing. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right.
All right. If there are no more questions, thank you very much for that information, Ms. Bobby.
Thank you for having me.
All right, moving on, we'll have a presentation of the quarterly financial report, I believe with Mr. Miller, but will we start with you, Mr. Eatman? All right, thank you.
Good evening, Vice Mayor, Chair Pro Tem, members of Town Council. Tonight, I'm pleased to introduce our new Town Treasurer, Garland Miller, who will be presenting the first quarter financial report. But before Mr. Miller comes forward, I'd like to provide a brief update on the fiscal 2027 budget process, noting that some of the elements may still change as things move forward. As the council are aware, the town's finance department implemented a new budgeting system, budgeting software called ClearGlove. That has made budgeting a lot more efficient and more effective. The system has a lot of internal parts and a lot of also moving parts. One of the first parts is the department heads. About the third week of December, department heads will receive invitations to build their budgets and be able to submit to the finance department. Each department have about approximately a month in order to put their budget together. Finance anticipates receiving all of the budgeted requests from department directors and department heads by January 19th. Additionally, around the third week in December, we will do the second installment for checks for nonprofit organizations based on those organizations that have been funded in the fiscal year 2026 budget, and it'll be distributed. Those checks will be distributed according to the executive, the contracts that have been executed. Also, speaking of the nonprofit funding process, application period for new funding requests will be open about in the month of February of 2026. Our purchasing department, along with the finance department, will send out a letter and have a request for all who are interested. And about March, the council will hear presentations from the nonprofit organization requesting funding. Community meetings for the budget, for 2027's budget, will be held on a Thursday and Friday, about the second week, approximately in March. And then we will present the budget proposal presentation of the first read will be delivered later in March also. Finally, we will conclude with the council meetings in April with the second read, as well as notice to the public for the budget hearing. Lastly, similar to what we did last year, we will adopt the budget at the last meeting in April, bearing any changes from the council or town manager.
we will conclude and wrap up those meetings, and then we will have our fiscal year 2026, 2027 adopted budget. Okay, now we'll bring on Mr. Miller.
Hi, good evening. It's my pleasure to present to you the first quarter of fiscal year FY 25-26. The treasurer's report, to just define this out, it covers the months of July, August, and September. The format has been laid out in the same format that you're accustomed to. What we want to do this evening is to provide a little bit of context with this. So what we want to present some budget to actual figures for you. The budget, as you're aware, is a little over $12.2 million. The revenue for the first quarter was a little under 2.6 million for the first quarter, which is 21% of the budget. Of the largest revenue streams, the gaming tax collected almost 1.4 million, which is nearly 53% of the revenue collected during the first quarter. Meals taxes were just under $304,000, which is 12% of the budget. Sales and use taxes were just under $175,000, which is just about 7% of the budget. Combined, those three revenue streams are just over $1.8 million, which is 72% of the revenue collected. Okay, at this time. Obviously, as we shift into the second quarter, you will begin to see real estate taxes once they're collected in December. Will start to rise up into that section. Looking at expenses during that quarter were just over $2.4 million, which is 19.8% of the budget. The police department was just under $700,000, or 27% of the expenditure. Public Works was just over $316,000, which is 12%. And civil engagement was just over $207,000, which is just over 8%. Combined, those three categories were just a little over $1.2 million in revenue, or excuse me, in expenses, which is 47%. So that is providing information on the budget itself. Now, looking at the traditional report that you're accustomed to, which is really reporting our cash position as of the first quarter, and I'm referring to page 2 at this time. All of the accounts for the town are listed in column 1. Focusing your attention on the general account, the beginning balance at the beginning of July was a little over $9.6 million. We had deposits of just over $3 million. Disbursements were a little over $3.9 million, and we ended with an ending balance of just over $8.7 million. The other, as you can see, the activity in the other accounts is a little bit cyclical or at different times, but all this combined brings the cash position for the town at a little over $11.2 million, which obviously is, a very healthy cash balance for the town. You're in a really good position. The balance of this report, as you were aware, covers the deposits during that time frame, and the last part of the report are the disbursements for that same time frame. And again, as I had alluded to earlier, we're trying to catch this up, so this has really been delayed. Should have occurred earlier. The next one will end with December 31st, so sometime in January or February, we'll deliver the second quarter update for you. Otherwise, if there's any questions, be happy to address those.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Council, do we have any questions for Mr. Miller? Councilman Fields?
Mr. Miller, welcome. Thank you for that wonderful report. Look forward to hearing from you more in the future. Thank you.
Councilman P?
Oh, yes, I just have one question, and town manager, you may answer this, being that we catching Mr. Miller up. Again, Mr. Miller, thank you for the presentation. With the, on the line item, we're here with the Basetown truck and trash removal. The 1931, is that per quarter?
If we're looking at the expenditures, that would be what we're paying per quarter, sir.
Got you. All right, makes sense. Thank you. All right, thank you, Mr. Miller.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, thank you, Council. Thank you, Mr. Miller and Mr. Eatman. All right, next on the agenda is the consent agenda. All right, looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
It's been moved. Do we have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and second. Do we have any discussion? All right, not hearing any discussion. Madam Clerk, please call for the question.
Councilmember Peterson? Aye. Councilmember Peak?
Absolutely.
Councilmember Fields?
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem Miles?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Nicholson?
Yes.
That motion has passed.
All right, thank you. Next on the agenda, we have action items, public hearing. I will turn that over to the town attorney. Madam Attorney?
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. Members of council, good evening. There are two ordinances on the agenda for public hearing tonight. Both of these ordinances are new regulations. The first is an ordinance that establishes policy and procedures for public-private partnerships within the town. The overarching purpose of this ordinance is to provide the necessary enabling legislation and procedures that are required by state law for a locality to accept and consider unsolicited proposals for the development of certain public-private projects. The ordinance is fairly comprehensive, so I won't go through it, but the draft has been reviewed in full by the town manager, who has confirmed that the procedures that are being established by this ordinance are acceptable from an administrative standpoint. Moreover, the town council will remain involved as an approving authority at various times within that review and approval process. The ordinance overall ensures compliance with state law regarding public-private partnerships, and it promotes efficiency. And for these reasons, I recommend adoptions. This concludes my prepared remarks. I'm happy to take your questions.
Thank you, Madam Attorney. Council, do we have any comments or questions with regard to item A of the ordinance establishing procedure for implementing public-private partnerships? All right. No comments, questions, discussion. I will open the public hearing. Opening the public hearing. Madam Clerk, is there anyone signed up to speak for the public hearing for this item?
No, ma'am.
All right, and there's nobody here to speak. All right, I can just close it right back, right? All right, closing the public hearing. All right. It's been opened, it's been closed. Madam Clerk, so now we need a motion to, what do we need a motion to do? To approve the ordinance establishing procedures for implementing public-private partnerships. Do we have a motion?
Oh, yes.
Oh, I didn't see your light. I'm so sorry. Pro Tem?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve the ordinance establishing procedures for implementing public-private partnerships.
I second that motion.
It's been motioned and second. Do we have any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Madam Clerk, please call for the question.
Councilmember Peterson,
Aye.
Councilmember Pete,
Absolutely.
Councilmember Fields,
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem Miles. Aye. Vice Mayor Nickerson,
Yes.
that motion's passed.
All right, thank you. Madam Attorney, item B, please.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. Members of council, the second ordinance establishes the requirements of disclosure of personal and economic interest by appointed town officials. This ordinance operates on multiple levels. First, it makes clear that the town's appointees to the boards and commissions and authorities of the town must make personal and financial disclosures that are required by the state's Conflict of Interest Acts, and that these disclosures must be filed before they attend their first meeting as an appointee. The ordinance also operates to engender public confidence by prohibiting the appointees from being employed by or having a financial interest in a business that is doing business with the town or a business proposing to do business with the town. Lastly, the ordinance establishes a process by which a violation of it may be punished upon complaint and investigation, and it clarifies that the ordinance does not relieve any appointees of complying with the other applicable provisions of the State Conflict of Interest Act. Overall, the ordinance promotes efficient and effective government, and for these reasons, I recommend adoption. This concludes my prepared remarks. I'm happy to answer your questions.
Madam Attorney, how is this different than the disclosure, the economic disclosure forms that we complete on a yearly basis already?
So it's not really different. In that first paragraph, what it's doing is making sure that all appointees that are subject to those provisions of the state code, they know that they are expected to make these financial disclosures and to also do it by a specific time within our internal calendar, which is before they attend their first meeting. If you look through it, it also aligns with certain procedures of handling those disclosures, which is not quite as clear on the state level because there are multiple agencies that can be involved with the disclosure process. With our ordinance, it makes clear that they have to file the disclosures with the town clerk and that the town clerk will keep these on file for basically 5 years. So there's no difference per se. It simply is, we expect you to follow this by this specific time. The timeline is not clear from the state's rules and procedures. And with respect to the last provision about our ordinance not really relieving them of any other applicable provision of the state law, it was intended to also make clear that even though we are addressing some of these appointees' responsibilities under state law, they can't simply check the box and have that apply for everything that will be required under the state code, if that makes sense.
Not really.
Okay, so if the concern is that they're being asked to do the same thing twice, they are not.
So is this adding an additional layer to what we're already doing?
Yes, ma'am, in some respects. So the requirement, the provision that requires compliance with state law really isn't an additional requirement. The other sections of this ordinance, however, are adding layers to responsibilities that do not automatically apply just from the state code. For instance, members of the town council have certain rules that keep them from doing business with their locality, et cetera. That rule does not apply to appointees of the boards and commissions of the town. This ordinance will impose almost the same requirement on the appointees. So that's an extra layer of a responsibility that doesn't exist at this point in time.
So what it sounds to me like is because as elected officials, we have rules and regulations that are, let me backtrack for a second. Because the way this is processing for me is, it sounds like when we accept the responsibilities of these positions, it comes with a layer of expectations that we have to abide by. You know, the expectation is that you will have to do this, and that. Say, for instance, I'll use the Hatch Act because it's the one that I can most clearly relate to. What this sounds to me like is we are now going to, almost hypothetically speaking, also impose Hatch Act regulations on commission and board members, hypothetically speaking. And if that's what this equates to, I have a problem with that, because I feel like if I am agreeing to be a council member, it's coming with almost a prestige that comes with the responsibility. But as a volunteer for a commission or an EDA or a board seat, that is a volunteer position. And they may get a couple of pennies for their time, but I don't expect them to also have that same level of responsibility. And what I'm hearing you say is this will give them similar responsibilities that we have as elected officials. And that sounds like a lot. Am I misunderstanding that?
So unfortunately for me, I don't have a grasp of all the details of the Hatch Act. So to the extent the question incorporates reference to that, I can't answer. However, to the other parts of your comments, there is elements of that I can agree with quite readily. The idea is to move them towards a place where, first of all, we are kind of identifying for them what a conflict will be for them. All right. So right now, conflicts of interest are partly defined in the code with definitions. So if someone says, well, that's a conflict for X member, for me to determine if there is a conflict, I've got to start reading definitions. How is the state in this instance defining a conflict? And sometimes it's a percentage of an interest in a project or transaction before that body. Other times it could be a consideration of your family member. And rather than going to the state code and looking at definitions, what we're saying, at least in these limited terms of this ordinance, is we consider you being employed by someone who's trying to do business with the town as a conflict. You can't do that. That makes it clear. That same action may actually be already handled by state code, but we'd have to go through to the state code, read through the various definitions to determine, of course, if there is a conflict. So on some level, I think it makes it a little easier. But again, as you stated before, the purpose in part is to move folks closer to this uniformity that makes it kind of easy for us to keep our eyes on each other and determine whether someone is kind of getting too close to the line or have crossed the line with respect to transacting business, where in many instances, red flags would be up for the objective observer.
Okay, I get what you're saying. What caught me is when you said the similarities between our levels of accountability. and the accountability also being imposed on boards and commissions, because they don't get the same levels of respectability, so to speak, that we do. They are not on par with us. They don't sit on this dais. They do not get the recognition as the officials and the honorables that we get. I don't expect that they would also have that same level of accountability. And so I don't think that it would be appropriate for them to be held to the same standards that we're held to. And that's where I'm trying to draw the distinction.
May I?
Please.
So I'm just going to stand back and sort of look at it from maybe the perspective of the public. So while elected officials are compensated in part by some of the intangible benefits, you know, the titles, the adoration, the esteem, the public is still expecting consistency in terms of how you approach a public transaction. So whether you're getting paid or you volunteered, they don't expect you to have a personal interest in the outcome of the business that's in front of you in your official capacity. And so having incorporated these particular terms, it hasn't been a complete prohibition. Let's just say if a commission member or a board member or committee member is not prohibited from town employment as elected officials are. That's a benefit of itself. I get to serve and I get to engage in certain transactions. So we haven't gone as far as to say you can't be employed by the town unless it's otherwise prohibited. So it's not quite as far as the prohibitions and the restrictions on elected officials, but we're moving that way. We're saying, look, you can be employed, but you can't have a financial interest in the outcome. And in one of these, in paragraph B in particular, it says you should have a personal interest as defined in section 2.2-3101. Again, we're not moving too far from the Conflict of Interest Act, but so I have to go there to get that definition. But at least personal interest in that regard now extends by state code to your family members.
Okay.
So it's that tension. I hear the tension, but the expectation of the public is whether you're paid or not paid, your transactions are not a part of your compensation. So we do expect this sort of baseline of behavior. And this is just, it makes it easier for me, if I were a member, to track whether or not this looks okay or this is prohibited. But
I understand.
That's it.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that perspective and that point of view. I would love to hear additional perspectives from council if there are any others to weigh in. Oh, I keep looking in your face and not your light. I apologize. Please, Chair Pro Tem.
Yeah, so I just want to, like, maybe if, with your permission, if I could address the attorney and ask.
Please, please.
So as elected officials, when I think about conflicts of interest and how they play out with the public, as a member of the council, having a conflict doesn't necessarily preclude you from participating on the council. It precludes you from participating in certain votes that raise that conflict. So I want to make sure that the regular, like what we're doing here, because it kind of reads like we might be saying you can't participate on the board if you have a particular conflict with a particular case or an application. So I just wanted to clarify that that looks the same for board members as it does for council members.
Madam Chair, may I?
Please,
Okay.
yes.
So I hear the question and I'm reading it, and at the time this was drafted, I think it put more of a burden on the business or the employer who wants to do business with the town. So let's just say you have a job at XYZ Corporation and there is a solicitation for bids. XYZ Corporation now knows they can't submit anything because you are on that board.
See, that's the part I kind of, so that's the part that I kind of struggle with, because I don't necessarily think it should be that they can't submit an application. I think you should just have to recuse yourself from that. Like, I think if you're a member of the board and the business that you're working for, let's say it's for a grant. Well, no, because our boards and commissions don't handle grant applications, but let's say it's a zoning issue. And you're a member of the planning commission, but you work at the organization or the business that's coming before the planning commission. At that point, I don't think they should not be able to submit an application. I think you should just be able to disclose what your conflict is and then recuse yourself from the vote. Are we taking that ability away from the members of the board?
Well, the zoning example, based on the language, is not going to be affected by this because it's purely contractual relationships.
But what if we say like the BZA? Let's say, because the BZA kind of can get financial and it deals specifically with appealing decisions that have been made. And a lot of times there is financial interest on the part of the business. Say I own a business in town. There's been, the town has made a determination on your business and you appeal to the BZA. And one of your employees is a member of the BZA and you're coming to present your case to the BZA. Are you saying that you can't appeal to the BZA because you have a member of the board working for you? Or does that member just stay out of that particular vote?
Yeah, I hear your question, and it's an excellent one. I'm not quite sure if I see the problem at this moment with the way this is framed, again, because everything is around wanting to have a contractual relationship as opposed to simply doing business. But, if this is too restrictive, the whole thing can be disregarded or this particular provision can be stricken from it. Again, the idea was to make it easy for everyone to sort of have a baseline of conduct that they knew was prohibited. And so I saw this more of as maybe a hindrance for a corporation who wanted to come in or a business who wanted to come in and submit a proposal than anything else, and not so much a problem for the person who was already sitting on the board. But I can see where the concern is coming from. I don't see it as being that onerous, other than, if you just plan to just sort of deal with things as they come up.
Yeah, 'cause, for me, I actually agree with it. I do think that if you should not have a financial interest in a case that's coming before you or an issue that's coming before you. I think that just in terms of transparency, and even though they're not necessarily being paid to serve on the board, if they seek to gain financially from a vote that they're going to cast, then I feel like they should recuse themselves, or at the very least, they should have to disclose, this is my interest. And then, in terms of transparency, what I would like to do, and I would actually have to ask procedurally how it works, and then also with the support of the rest of the council, if we could take this out, we could table this for now and bring it back to like a meeting in January and have it fleshed out so it's more specific, because I don't want to preclude anybody from serving on boards, but there has to be a medium in which they can disclose what their conflict is and they're not penalized for serving. Because to the vice mayor's point, they are volunteers. We want to be able to encourage our volunteers to come out. And it's no different to me, as long as I just want to make sure, like, as long as we're being transparent and we're disclosing our conflicts and then we're proceeding accordingly. I think that just needs to be very clear so that we don't run into issues later on in the future.
So state law is always going to be applicable to our transactions, right? When it comes to conflicts. And so there are enough statutes on the books that tell people they have to disclose it. But for us, the conflicts kind of start being defined based on, again, the percentages. So the percentages here will not matter. But under state code, a conflict can be defined simply by the percentage of your interest. You understand? So it's not simply that you say, if you have an interest or a financial interest in the outcome at the state code level, it would be, okay, if you have an interest that exceeds 3% in the business, now that responsibility comes in. So from the person standing on the outside, they say, I know she has an interest, but the defense is, but it's 2.5% or it's 2%. Does that still engender the confidence that you might want the public to have in your processes? And that's really what this was kind of intended to get to. Let's just have a baseline. You can't do X, and that's easy.
But I think a baseline is important. I'm sorry, Vice Mayor. I think the baseline is important, but I think 2%, depending on how that looks like, that percentage might be important. It might be like,
It's 2%.
it might be, okay, Wawa's coming to town and I'm a cashier of Wawa's, and based off of the income that they're bringing in, and I might be overthinking it, but the income they're coming in, I'm bringing in 1.9%. And then like you get into a perception. So I don't know if I like the blanket, but I do think we need to, in my opinion, I think we just need to have more discussion and we need to just flesh it out more. So I don't want to, monopolize the conversation. I know that Councilman Pete has a question, so I'll yield for now and then we can proceed after. Yeah.
Councilman Pete can ask a question, and then I want to go back because now with what Chair Pro Tem is saying, that brings up another question in my head too, because I feel like we were at one point talking about one thing, and now with what Chair Pro Tem is saying, I feel like we've pivoted to something else. So ask your question, Councilman Pete, and then I want to come back because now I have a question along the lines of where Chair Pro Tem was.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I don't have a question, just have remarks on a statement on the matter. I don't like it at all. I believe for several years that we've had several practices with our boards and commissions at the time. And I believe we're at a point now to where our boards move good. I don't believe that we have a small issue with volunteers wanting to volunteer. I don't think that we need to create another line that distracts or detours anyone from having to do additional of what we already have challenges now. All right. So let's take in consideration of the angle that we are approaching or trying to approach with adding on something else when we already have a challenge. We're yearning for our citizens to get involved with our boards and events and even the town more. And I believe that we maybe should, my recommendation is that we come up with a better approach to let's get our citizens more involved before we start laying the lines on them and start and creating something else that detours them. We've had several practices that work. Our boards and commissions, we probably could all agree that they work pretty good, and a decency. And on this topic, I don't support this because I believe we are from the time of me first being around here till today, of almost 9-10 years, I believe we are at a space with our boards and commissions to where we're good, but I believe we may need to work on attraction for our boards and commissions. But to add on something else to them as a deterrent or that could possibly detour them, I don't agree with that. With that, I yield.
Thank you, Councilman Pete. I get where Councilman Pete is coming from as well. What we don't want to do is create additional barriers. However, we do want to act in the best interests of transparency and protection for the bigger picture, which is what's best for the town. And I understand that and appreciate you always thinking through that lens, Madam Attorney. What's concerning to me, one of the things, based on where Pro Tem was going with regard to the business interest is, for instance, we have council members and members of our current boards and commission who are also business owners in our town. So am I understanding correctly then that what this is saying is that does that mean then that council members or current commissioners or board members cannot be both? They cannot be business owners in the town, or they cannot conduct business in the town and be council, and be business owners or commissioners or board members? Or does that mean that they have to excuse themselves when it comes time to, or announce when there is a conflict based on what they're voting on? If such is the case, don't we already do that?
I don't think it's that broadly written. It's really pretty narrow. So there's no preclusion of being appointed as a member of a board, commission, or authority if you're doing business in the town. The question is doing business with the town, having a contractual relationship with the town, or proposing a contract with the town. And so some of that information, maybe it's disclosed as a part of the application process before the person is even appointed. If they know that their company or their employer has a current contract with the town. If that is not the case and that person is appointed, then what they know is my business cannot propose to do business with the town as long as I'm a member. So it's very different than just doing business. It's like I want a piece of the public pie on the back end of this contract. I mean, it's still, there's a consideration for the money, but that would be another stream of revenue coming from the entity that has you as an appointee. And that's what we're trying to address, even if it's perception-wise, that we're not encouraging people to use the appointments as a basis of getting business for their employers or getting business for their business or businesses with which they have an interest. So that's it.
So then my next question is, does this mirror existing Virginia disclosure, or is this creating a new disclosure?
If the contractual, like say the proposal for the contract is coming before the entity on which that person is serving, current legislation would require them to make a disclosure if they meet the personal interest definition in the code.
So this is just for disclosure. This is not prohibitive. So that doesn't mean if we adopt this, this is saying that they cannot do it.
That's correct, ma'am.
Right. So what I'm asking you is, if we say that if we adopt this, this says that, so, Joe Bob is on the board of TVs, and that means he can no longer do business with the town if we adopt this. And so what I'm asking you is this something that we're creating, or is this Virginia? Is this a Virginia code thing that we are adopting to get in line with Virginia, or is this a town of Dumfries thing?
It's a variation, so it's a hybrid, and so that makes it a Dumfries thing because
Okay.
it's a hybrid.
Okay, so I don't support it. Thank you. So I will not support it, and I mean, that's a decision I'm willing to make tonight. Thank you very much for the discussion. All right, if there are no other, I'm sorry. I keep on doing it. Thank you for bringing it to my attention. I promise you, I'm not trying to be dismissive.
I know.
Chair Pro Tem.
I know, because I'm not trying to, I'm trying to be indecisive. I'm
like, see my light. Okay,
I
Yes,
just want to
ma'am.
make sure I'm understanding, because I used a couple of analogies earlier about someone working at Wawa's and thing. So what I'm hearing is, if you're on a board and let's say you have a cleaning company and the town is soliciting for a cleaning company to come in town hall, you can't then submit an application to work. Okay. I'll support that, because I think as although you're not an elected official, as you're not an elected official, but it is a position of privilege and you're in public trust. You shouldn't be profiting off of that. I'd like to table it. I'm not 100%. I think there's a place for it. But I think Dumfries has so many smaller businesses and things like that. We have like people that come, they're in bands and they participate in the fall festival. Does that preclude them that if I'm volunteering on a board, I can't now sing at the fall festival? No, I'm asking. Like,
You know, I didn't get down to the contract for singing at the Fall Festival when I was thinking about this. But, you know, a fair application of the ordinance as it's proposed, the answer to that would be yes, if that was reduced to an agreement with enforceable terms.
Okay. I would actually, you know, if there's an appetite for it, I think there is a place for regulations in terms of disclosure, and we need to have that at our boards and commission levels as well. But I'm not ready to vote for it tonight. Would y'all support a motion to table this until the meeting in January? Okay. Okay, so that's that. I will yield back, Madam Vice Mayor.
Have we? Okay, this is your,
That's my
okay, so,
second one.
all right, so Pro Tem, you have exhausted your discussion. All right, Councilman Pete, this is your last discussion on it?
Okay, so thank you, Vice Mayor. Out of this, I like the fact that, you know, just to clean it up from my angle, I like the fact of we as in this town, we're supposed to go out and look for what's best for the town. Sometimes that may be a mom and pop store right here within the town. There's a lot of mom and pop stores. There's a lot of trade entrepreneurs here within our town. Some may be, again, we have challenges getting people on our board. Somebody may be on the board and say, hey, I see that we went X, Y, and Z to look for some procurement help and something, some type of subject or topic or whatever the case may be, or project. But I have, or I know of, right here in the town, I believe we should be in a position to entertain that. With that, Vice Mayor, I yield.
Thank you, sir. Is any discussion from anyone who has not spoken, because we've exhausted our discussion on it? Okay, I think we have exhausted discussion. Madam Clerk, please call, we need a motion. Oh, I got to open the floor for public hearing. Is there anyone signed up for public hearing to speak on this matter?
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to close the public hearing. Did I ever open the public hearing?
Yeah.
I did open. Okay. All right, now, Madam Clerk, please call for the question. No, now I need a motion for the ordinance. Do you get a motion for it? Can we get a motion on ordinance requiring personal interest disclosure by officials?
If there is no motion, it'll die, correct?
All right. There's no motion on the floor? All right. It dies. Okay. Well, with that, we have gone through the agenda. Meeting is adjourned.
You know,